So last month, I gave myself the challenge of waking up at 5:30 a.m., living out a perfect morning routine. And in that, I did a lot of research about what makes a good morning routine and how can you create something that makes you super productive and happy with your mornings. And so I'm going to go into some of the science and the details that I learned about that. And then I'm also going to answer some of the best questions that I got about that video. How to stay productive, how does that affect your life, what happens if you're tired throughout the day, and a lot more. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I did after waking up at 5:30 a.m. was starting with a smile. And so why would you smile? Some of the science behind it is if you physically smile, then your emotions can be mapped to your physical actions. I like the idea of starting off every day with the intention of wanting to be happy and enjoying that day. Then the next thing that I do is open the curtains because I think it's really important to get some fresh air or some sunlight. As the sun does rise, then you can wake up with that light exposure, and I think that's really good to energize your body. Movement's really important, so I like to get the body movement, some stretching, some push-ups and pull-ups, things like that. It really energizes your body and it makes my body just feel functional and fit throughout the day. I feel a lot more mobile and just happier and more comfortable in my body. It would often extend more than 5 minutes because I did really enjoy that, and I'll do maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Another thing that's really important is cleaning my room. And so I like to tidy it up so that the room is in a really good state because that makes me feel at peace in my own environment because there's not a lot of mess going around. So I feel more productive in that environment. And then I also like to continue with that by removing some things from my life, whether that's looking through some old possessions and getting rid of, old underwear and socks or shoes that you haven't been wearing and donating those. Hydration is really important. If you think about it, during a day, how long do you go without drinking water? Maybe a couple hours. But when you sleep, you don't drink for 8 hours. And so your body is a little bit dehydrated. And so it's really good to get that hydration in. People say if you add water and salt, then you're getting a lot of good minerals and good vitamins as well. And then getting into meditation. If you haven't already seen my meditation video, there's a lot of benefits to meditation. You just feel a lot calmer, focused, happier. And so something really good that I like to add into my morning routine. Then I get into affirmations, which only take a couple of minutes. I can just reflect on what am I happy for? What was I proud of that I did yesterday? What do I want to get done today? Where do I want to be in the future? These are really important things to continually think about to ensure that you're being aware and conscious about the decisions that you're making. And as you go through the day, are you actually making decisions aligned to where you want to be, or are you making decisions that are a little bit more impulsive? And so by doing that as a practice, you're going to be a little bit more aligned to your values. And then planning out my day. So I have a to-do list where I use a software called Todoist, and every single time I get an idea of something that I want to do, I put it down in that to-do list. So all of these things come up in life that are important, but they're not necessarily super important and pressing that you need to do them in that moment. I think it's really good to just have a place where you can release them from your brain so you don't need to focus on them anymore. And then in the morning, some of these times I'll look at them and just cross them off straight away because they're pretty simple tasks. Other times I'll actually plan them out in my day. Planning out your day can get you pumped for your day because you're excited about all of the things that you can achieve. And if you block it out, it can be actually exciting when you're like, yeah, how good is this going to be when I can get all of that done today? Then I like to get into some sort of education, study, growth. Sometimes I might read a business book. Sometimes I might learn some Spanish. Maybe it's for a challenge and I want to learn more about music production or whatever it is. But I like to get into learning and prioritize that because sometimes that can fall to the side because you want to get your work done, you want to get your gym done, and you're not actually taking some time to improve yourself and your mind. So I think that's really important to prioritize that time. Then going to gym. So I do gym 4 or 5 times a week. I always feel great after going to gym. My body feels great. Having a cold shower afterwards. So I have a regular shower, but I try to have cold exposure for 30 seconds to a minute. And again, that's meant to be really good for your body to activate your nervous system, your immune system, and feel really good in your body. And then another thing that I like to finish off my morning routine with is the FU task, which is the task that you just really don't want to do, and it's kind of pressing on your mind. And by starting off your day with that task, you're going to feel a lot lighter knowing that you don't have to kind of think about that anymore. that's my routine. If you're creating your own, it definitely doesn't have to be the same. You need to try to figure out what you want and what's important to you. I was looking at some other people's morning routines. Some of them might start with a light jog, some of them might start with stretching, some of them might start with cooking lunches and dinners for their family. You need to figure out what are the priorities. And I'd make sure that in your tasks, you've got some things that are maintaining the kind of level that you want to be at and some things that are pushing you for growth. So you don't want to just be doing things like just staying on top of your life. You want to make sure that you're also doing tasks that are moving you forward and in the direction where you want to be. Being productive in the morning really starts from a good nighttime routine as well, because you need to wake up energized. And so some of my best tips for nighttime routines are don't drink water too late before bed. You know, you might need to go to the bathroom and you're gonna lose the quality of your sleep. Make sure you avoid blue light before you go to bed. So no being on your computer or on your iPhone or anything like that right before you go to sleep. No stimulants after like really 12 p.m. or at least 2 p.m. So no coffee. Try to figure out your winding down process. So for me, I really like to listen to a podcast. And I know when I start listening to my podcast, within 15 minutes and I put on my sleep timer, then I'm asleep. There's no light in my room, there's no noises going on, it's a nice temperature, then I can fall asleep really quickly. Some of the questions that I wanted to answer was, any tips on how to make your mornings more productive? Having a plan the night before is really important. If you're actually excited about what you can achieve the next morning, then you're going to be excited to actually get up and do it. Think about a list and go, how could I create a list that's going to be exciting? I think that that's really important. Someone asked, by going to bed earlier, did that really affect my social life? And the answer is a little bit, but the value that I was getting from these early mornings trumped the missed opportunities that I had in my social life. There were nights where I didn't hold true to this pattern, and there was nights where I stayed up to 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. because I had a friend's party. I was okay with that. I wasn't strict on myself to the point where I needed to be doing this every single day. A couple of times I slept in and regained that, and I spoke about that a little bit on the video. But for the most part, the value that I was getting about being productive in the morning was higher than the missed opportunity that I was foregoing. Another thing that I wanted to mention, sometimes you are going to find yourself being tired throughout the day. That's just going to be part of the process, particularly early on when your body's adjusting to those earlier mornings and you're trying to get better at those nighttime routines. You might find yourself getting to bed at 8:30 or 9 p.m. one night because you're just so tired and you really have to fight through that day. But know that by being disciplined to the routine, very quickly you're going to catch up and you're going to feel a lot better. So those are some of my best tips around morning routines. I found it super helpful. I love the productivity that I got out of it, and I was really happy throughout that whole journey. It's something I'd really recommend if you're interested to give it a go for a little bit and see how you go. Let me know how you go in the comments. And as always, happy learning.